The sixth safety practice for successful plant shutdown is to store hazards safely. Keep all hazardous and dangerous material locked up and safely stored out of the work area during the shutdown. Remove hazardous materials or store them in a secure area. Pay special attention to air and gas cylinders and close their main valves when not in use. Remove regulators and install safety caps each time they're put away. The seventh safety practice for a successful plant shutdown is to test for exposure risk. Some plants, typically chemical, pose a real risk of exposure to toxic chemicals. This might include acidic chemicals, flammable gases, toxic fumes, airborne fibers, etc. If you suspect there is a risk to exposure of a toxic chemical, let the safety director know and we can look into bringing a specialist in to test for exposure risk. The eighth safety practice for a successful plant shutdown is confined spaces. Shutdowns are a common time to get into all of those hard-to-reach areas for cleaning and upgrades. If those spaces are big enough for a worker to enter, aren't intended for continuous occupancy, and have limited means of entry and egress, then they meet OSHA's definition of a confined space. When these spaces also have a hazard, such as insufficient oxygen or a vapor that creates an inhalation hazard, a permit is required before a worker or workers may enter. If workers aren't accustomed to working in confined spaces, conduct training prior to the shutdown to help ensure their safety and increase their awareness of confined space hazards. The ninth safety practice for a successful plant shutdown is electricity. A frequently cited OSHA violation is the use of extension cords as a permanent source of energy. Shutdowns are a great time to provide more permanent electrical wiring solutions. This means accessing electrical panels, pulling wires, and installing outlets. Certified electricians know about the hazards of working with electrical power sources as well as how to protect themselves. Others working in the area while these upgrades are happening will need to be aware of power cables and other electrical hazards that cannot be guarded.